Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss my thoughts on the Brexit alliance and how, well, we are in real trouble if the opposition parties don't get their act together. But first, if you'd like to be informed of future uploads, then please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon as well. So, with the news that the Brexit Party won't be fielding candidates in 317 seats that the Conservatives won in 2017, there has effectively emerged a ramshackle form of Brexit alliance, no doubt coordinated above Farage and Johnson by like Steve Bannon or take your pick. Now, had the Brexit Party put up candidates everywhere that the Conservatives were active and run a strong campaign as they did before summer this year, they would absolutely have knocked each other out. It would have been inevitable that the Parliament that would have emerged next month would have triggered a public vote with Remain as an option, and by the end of 2020, all be happy and glorious as with the UK as a committed member of the EU. Yes, it wouldn't exactly be happily ever after. There are still those who would be unhappy, maybe even feeling betrayed, but nothing can stop that now. The Brexit Party retreat, however, means that Johnson still has a crack at a majority, a good one as well. Aaron Banks, who is the guy who's been bankrolling Nigel Farage and was the front for Leave.eu in 2016, he's also called for the Brexit Party to withdraw in Conservative target seats everywhere, not just the ones they won 2 years ago. If they do this, and with Aaron Banks calling for it, the chances are not unlikely, then you have a fully functioning Brexit alliance operation. And people are calling this general election a proxy referendum on Brexit. It isn't, and it would be quite wrong to say so. The winners will definitely say it is. They always say that whoever wins in a general election, the people have given us the mandate for this thing. It's a lie. It's not that. Not everyone will be voting based on their Brexit position. Indeed, according to polls, most won't be doing. It will be the single biggest individual issue. Don't get me wrong, it's still huge. It is still something upon which many people will be basing their vote on, and it could well be almost half of those people. But there is likely to be somewhere between 50 and 60% of voters voting for other issues or other issues in conjunction with Brexit. In addition, you don't need anywhere near 50% of the votes to get a majority with a first past the post system. If the current polls remain as they are, which they may or may not, then the share of the vote projected for the Conservatives is enough for them to get a majority, depending on how it's spread across the different constituencies. But now that we have a general election campaign underway, we do have more intense individual constituency polls going on, and they paint a worrying picture. If the Brexit Party withdrew completely, challenging only Labour seats where the Conservatives have no chance, then the Brexit alliance is absolutely in pole position. So, what about the Remain alliance? Well, this is where we have a problem. Okay, so sure, the Conservatives may well be completely wiped out in Scotland, and there it almost doesn't matter who profits in that scenario. It's most likely the SNP. But whoever it is going to be a force against Brexit. That's fine. A similar alliance in Northern Ireland could also cut DUP seats and even return some anti-Brexit parties who will take up their Westminster seats and vote against it. But the DUP had been stabbed in the back by Johnson anyway, so they were always going to be a bit of an unknown quantity in any future Brexit votes. But in England and Wales there is more trouble. So the Liberal Democrats, Plaid Cymru and the Green Party have formed an alliance where they will not oppose one another in seats that the Conservatives have a good chance of winning. Now, this is an important step. There are also smaller groups who've involved themselves by stepping aside from strong Remain candidates as well. However, Labour have not joined this alliance. Yes, their constitution says that they should field candidates in all seats, which is a bloody stupid rule when they've got a first past the post system. But it doesn't stop them being involved in an alliance. Now, in the Welsh by-election earlier this year in Brecon and Radnorshire, although Labour put up a candidate, they fielded a candidate, the national leadership did not push campaigning. It was actually very strange. Normally, and I want to say normally, I mean always, Jeremy Corbyn would have been out and about, going door to door in that by-election area, campaigning for Labour. There wasn't a sign of him in that election. I took it as a bit of an indication that they're going to do what their rules allow to give a leg up to the most likely candidate to unseat the Tories. Labour had no chance in that constituency. The Liberal Democrats did. So they still fielded a candidate. They just didn't really campaign hard. There is no sign of the same thing happening for this general election. And so what I would suggest, and this is going to sound a bit rich coming from an open supporter of the Labour Party. I understand this, but hear me out. I think that the Liberal Democrats need to withdraw from certain contests, even if it's not reciprocated by Labour. If you have a Labour Conservative marginal with the Liberal Democrats not having a chance, they should withdraw. Now, this isn't about having a pop at the Lib Dems if they don't. To be completely clear, this whole situation is entirely the fault of Jeremy Corbyn. No qualms about saying that at all. I've said it before and I'll say it again. But for every candidate that the Liberal Democrats place in a Labour Conservative race, they are increasing the chance of a no-deal Brexit because some of those seats the Conservatives will win as a result of that split vote. That's a fact. And that is the situation at the moment, and that is the reality. And it's unpleasant. It's awkward that we're going into a general election where people may tactically have to vote for someone they really don't want to. That is unfortunately the reality of our electoral system. It stinks to consider the notion that the Liberal Democrats help out Labour whilst Labour selfishly do nothing for anyone else. But the bigger picture is entirely about Brexit. If the Liberal Democrats field a candidate in such a constituency, they won't win it. I'm not suggesting they withdraw from constituencies where they can win. So we're talking about ones where they can't win it. Now, as such, if they split the Remain vote with Labour in any seats which eventually lets the Conservative candidate win, then in the event of a modest majority being won by Johnson next month, or even just shy of a majority, the Liberal Democrats will have acted to deliver the no-deal Brexit that Johnson is going for at the end of 2020. And yes, I'll say it again, it'll be primarily Labour's fault for allowing Corbyn to lead the party, and Corbyn's fault for being a tosser. But there has to be a functioning Brexit alliance. There has to be a functioning Remain alliance. Because the pro-Brexit alliance is starting to function and it may get stronger. Now, I understand the situation. You're looking at Labour and you're going, right, this is a team member that's not pulling their weight. Yes. In that scenario, you've got two choices in a team scenario like that. You can either lose and then blame the team member that wasn't pulling their weight, or you can attempt to pick up the slack and still try and win. That's what I would look at. So without Labour, it is unlikely to be enough, the Remain alliance that currently exists. And if Labour won't join it, it helps the Remain cause to unilaterally apply it to them. Now, let's face facts here. There are way more Labour Conservative contests going on around the country next month than Liberal Democrat Conservative races. So, in other words, there are more Conservative seats that could be won as a result of the Lib Dems not withdrawing than Conservative seats being won as a result of Labour not withdrawing when they should. In fact, in an effective alliance, if Labour did join in, that would still involve way more Liberal Democrats candidates standing aside than Labour ones anyway. And make no mistake, when the prize is cancelling Brexit, Labour MPs are just as good as Liberal Democrat ones. If there is a majority for parties opposed to the Conservatives, there will be a referendum where Remain is an option. If Corbyn doesn't get his majority, which he won't, then there will be no nonsense about trying to negotiate a new deal. And let's say he does win a majority. I mean, who knows? But I don't think so. But let's say his negotiation will be short-lived and futile. He is committed to another referendum within 6 months. That limits the amount of time he's got to renegotiate his version of the deal. So yes, Corbyn wants Brexit, but he can only actually get it with the Conservatives in charge. Ironically, he has no power to deliver it with a government of his own. Every level of Labour, every level has a large majority that wants to remain and will fight against Brexit. The parliamentary party has a large majority in favour of remaining. The wider membership, even the Momentum group that fights tooth and nail to embed Corbyn and attacks his opponents, they want to remain. The non-member Labour voters want to remain. Corbyn simply has no support at all for leaving the EU. He has support for everything else, not for leaving the EU. So seriously, ignore what Corbyn wants in this regard. Focus on the political reality of this general election. If the Conservatives get a majority, Boris Johnson will forge ahead with Brexit. We will leave the EU and we will do so quite quickly. There may not even be any need for extending the deadline beyond January. It could happen by then. Once we've left, there is no coming back for a decade at least, and that is optimistic, no matter how bad it is. Although I would then move from a position of supporting Remain to supporting re-entry into the EU, that'll be a campaign where there is no possibility of a quick win. It's long term. I might not see it until old age. The only way to stop this, absolutely the only way to stop Johnson, is to stop him getting a majority. And bear in mind that there are opposition MPs who will still vote for his Brexit without being Tory MPs. Yes, we know some of them are Labour MPs, but even a pro-Brexit Labour MP is better than a Tory MP. A Tory MP is guaranteed to vote for everything Johnson wants and not amend any of it. A pro-Brexit Labour MP will at least amend Johnson's bills and derail his ultimate plans. But all that means is that we have to stop him not only getting a majority, but actually getting close to a majority. That means if you want to fight this general election on an anti-Brexit platform, you have to fight it on an anti-Conservative platform. The consequences of the general election are really binary. It's either hard Brexit or no Brexit. As such, the choice for the electorate has to be binary as well. Conservatives or not Conservative. Where a Conservative has no chance in the seat, makes no difference. Fight it out, whatever. Where they do, and I count the Brexit Party in that, as they are now just basically the geriatric branch of the Conservative Party, you can't let people be splitting their vote against multiple candidates opposing the Tories. The Conservatives are in a commanding position. We have to be honest about this. They are in a commanding position at the moment. It will hopefully be eroded over the campaign. We can certainly rely on their ministers to be useless under cross-examination and whichever debates they don't run away from, but they are likely to take part in very few debates. But the parties do need to think very carefully about how to defeat them. Support the candidate most likely to beat the Conservatives, get behind them. It will do no good seeing Lib Dems allowing the Conservatives to capture a dozen or more seats when they could have prevented it. Even if, I'll say it again, the bulk of the blame will lie with Labour. It's time for a bit of pragmatism. So I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button, please. If you'd like to support the channel further, then please click the Patreon link as well. And until next time, I'll see you later.